Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. Another big exciting day in my kitchen. Where are we going? What are we making? I'm thinking we're gonna go to northern Italy. I think we're gonna go to Milan or Milano. I think I'm gonna put everybody on an airplane, Cooking Italian with Joe Airlines. We're gonna fly to Milan, northern Italy, Piedmonte region, and we're gonna make just a beautiful, fun, easy, delicious dish. Something I used to have when I was growing up with Nona. She'd make it periodically, and it's definitely rich and creamy, but boy, I'll tell you, it's just something delicious. And I'm gonna enjoy going through memory lane with you guys for sure. So what are we making? I know you're on the edge of your seat, right? Well, you probably already cheated and looked at the link. But what we're gonna make is we're gonna make spaghetti with a Béchamel sauce. Doesn't that sound great? Or in Italiano, spaghetti alla Béchamel. All right, so what do you guys say? Let's get going, right? Let's get going on ingredients. So first and foremost, we're gonna need some spaghetti. My advice to you guys always is try to get the Italian version of spaghetti. You can buy it in a lot of your good international markets. You're gonna see it's made of durum flour, and you're gonna see it comes through a bronze die, so it gives it like a satin finish, a little rougher, which holds the sauce. For this recipe, we want 1 pound of spaghetti. Now we gotta make our Béchamel sauce. So we're gonna use 4 cups of whole milk cold in the dish, and we'll show you there's a strategy on when to add it and how much to add it to make sure it comes out really silky and smooth. Number 2, the magic of making a roux, that's gonna be our thickening agent, is I'm gonna want equal parts in weight, not volume, of flour and a fat. In this case, we're gonna use butter, which is more traditional in Northern Italian cooking or French cooking. So I'm gonna use 1 cup of flour. Now in this case, our flour is gonna be either an all-purpose, a pastry, or a cake flour. Why? It's a great question, because it's lower in protein, so it's gonna make something silky and light and very flavorful. So that 1 cup is gonna give me about 100 grams of flour. So now I want equal weight, so I want 100 grams of butter, which is about 7 tablespoons of butter. Now in this case, I've got a really good quality butter, really high butterfat content. The other point I want to make is this is non-salted. So don't panic if you don't have non-salted. Just don't add any salt because the salt's already added in the butter. If you have non-salted, you're going to add a pinch or 2 of salt to the Béchamel sauce. Next ingredient is going to be salt, again, if you have non-salted. Anybody watching our videos, I love to use different varieties of salt. So often I use a pink Himalayan because it's sexy, right? But I've got right now some Sicilian sea salt. It's flaky, it's light, it's delicious. You know, it's a little bit more delicate. It's a little bit softer. It's a little bit softer on the palate, on the brine. So we're gonna use a pinch of salt for the Béchamel sauce. Next ingredient, which is classic, it's critical, and that's gonna be our nutmeg. Oh, anybody watch our videos, I love nutmeg. It's my favorite spice. It goes great with savory Italian dishes. It goes great with dolce. I mean, it goes great with anything with cheeses and milk and cream. And so it's very traditional in Italian cooking. So in this case, we're gonna use nutmeg, whole nutmeg if you can, because just like fresh pepper, once you grind it, it starts to dry out. It loses some of its punch, some of its flavor. So if you can get a whole nut, great. If not, totally fine. We're gonna use a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Now a little bit of nutmeg goes a long way. So if you don't like a lot of nutmeg, just pull back a little bit. It's totally fine. If you do like nutmeg or you love it, then go a little bit heavier. But I find in this dish with this quantity, about a 1/4 teaspoon is just perfect. Next, we're gonna need some Parmesan cheese. So here I've got a nice chunk of Parmesan Reggiano cheese, just delicious. And we're gonna use about a cup of grated Parmesan Reggiano, and I'm going to show you when to add that, because we're going to add that a couple of times in the dish, which will just come out delicious. So when you're making this hot spaghetti and you're making that delicious sauce, and then you're just rolling it within the sauce, oh, so good, and it'll bring me right, I know for sure, right down to memory lane. Next, we're going to need some olive oil. So I'm going to want something Italian for an Italian dish. Extra virgin, so it's got some good flavor. I want it, earthy, peppery, grassy. I want it from Puglia, Italy, because the best extra virgin olive oil comes from Puglia, Italy in the world. Where would I go? That's a great question. You know where I'd go? I'd go to Vito and Joe's. So listen, guys, anybody new to our channel, and for those of you guys that have already subscribed to the channel and you're part of the Cooking Italian with Joe family, it certainly means the world to me. For those of you that are new to our channel, I own a farm in Italy. It's in Puglia, just above the heel. I named the company after my 2 sons, Vito and Joe, and we co-op with a whole group of farms to bring in some of the best extra virgin Italian olive oil. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, man, I'd love to get my hands on it. I would too. I'd be thinking the same thing. So guys, I would go to the link above or below. I'd go to my website, Cooking Italian with Joe. Click buy it now, grab yourself a few bottles. We'll literally drop ship it right to your front doorstep. When I look at that, I always think of taking a trip to Italy right in a bottle. Okay, so let's start cooking. So first thing I'm gonna need a pot salted filled with water to get my spaghetti going, right? And I'm gonna turn the heat on. I've got my tongs to move the spaghetti. I'm also gonna want a flat saucepan. I find, for me anyways, this tends to be the best way for me to make a bechamel sauce. I'm gonna need a whisk. I'm gonna need a wooden spatula. I love that. It's easier, it's lighter on my hand, and it doesn't get hot. That's why I love the wood. And then I'm gonna need a microplaner for both my Parmesan Reggiano cheese that I'm gonna add, and I'm gonna use that for my nutmeg. So I'm gonna turn the heat on for my water to get ready for the pasta. I'm gonna ask you guys to follow me on over to the stove. I've got my pan, I'm gonna put it on a low to medium heat. First thing we wanna do is take our butter and get our butter melted. Once the butter's fully melted, I'm gonna show you something that most people do at a different time. I'm gonna add my nutmeg, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because the nutmeg has a lot of fat in it. It oils, and that's where your flavors come out. So if I add them to the butter right now, and I add that 1/4 teaspoon to the butter, I'm gonna get a lot more flavor out of the nutmeg than if I wait and add it after the milk. The aroma of that, so good. Now guys, I'm gonna give that a stir, and right when it starts to bubble, I'm not trying to boil the butter, right when it starts to get bubbly, I'm gonna add my flour. And what we're making here is a roux. So turn the heat down a little bit, so I'm on a really low heat, and give it a nice stir. And now what's gonna happen is this is gonna thicken up a lot, and that's good. So what I wanna do is use the spatula, and I wanna get all of the fat incorporated within the flour. I don't wanna see any white of the flour left. And now what I wanna do, guys, for about 2 minutes, is I wanna cook down the fat with the flour. And why I wanna do that is I actually wanna cook the flour. And if I cook the flour down, it's gonna bring out just a beautiful flavor within the flour. It'll be nutty and creamy and have just a gorgeous flavor. If I don't allow the flour to cook, it'll taste like raw flour. So we can either stop right now. That's gonna give me a very, very light, delicate sauce. I'm gonna go a little bit more to get a little bit more flavor out of it. It's tough in these videos to just get that color exactly right. Sometimes I find it comes out a little darker. That's perfect. That's right where I want my sauce. So really important now, the first thing I want to do is shut the heat off. So in this case, I'm lucky I've got a granite countertop. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my whisk, clean off my spatula, and I've got my milk, which is cold, so don't worry about it. Now what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of the milk to my dish, and it'll get thick. So maybe a couple ounces tops. And now I'm going to take my whisk off the heat now, and I'm going to give it a nice stir. And I want to go all the way across, and I want my milk to fully incorporate itself within the roux. Beautiful. Now I'm going to add a little bit more, just a little bit more, and just gently keep stirring. Add a little bit more. And now I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of this milk. Now we've got a total of 4 cups of milk that we're going to add here. So I've got the 1 cup fully incorporated. So now that I've got that 1 cup fully incorporated, I'm going to bring it back to the heat. And now I'm gonna go ahead and add some more of the milk. So I usually do 3 sets. I add about a cup slowly to the first part of the roux, and then the 3 cups I'm gonna add 2 separate amounts. And that just makes it a lot easier. And I'm gonna go ahead and make a nice slow stir. And then as it heats up, everything will melt right in. I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of my milk. Guys, let's go over a couple of tips to make this come out delicious, okay? So I've got all of my milk added now, that 1 quart of milk added to my bechamel sauce. And now I'm gonna take a whisk or alternate between my whisk and my spatula, and I'm just gonna do a nice steady slow stir until the milk comes up to temperature, and then everything will start to thicken. A couple other tips to make this come out just delicious. One is when you subscribe to the channel. So you click that red button right there, the notification bell, and you gotta give me a thumbs up, right? And I'll tell you that shares our video with other people. So guys, when you subscribe to the channel, we've got a lot going on in the farming out in Italy. Any trips we got coming up, which I got a big trip coming out to Italy here in a few weeks. Any new recipes, any new travel tips, it'll come right to your notification box. And like I tell you guys every week, hey, make sure part of the family, you know what I mean? As far as the olive oil goes, I can hear it literally being shipped to your house right now as we speak. So you already got that. All right, so let's finish up on our sauce. Just when we're almost done here, I'm gonna add a little salt. So I'm gonna add a pinch of salt, my Sicilian flaky sea salt here to the dish. Maybe a little bit more, perfect. And just gently give that a nice stir. And as this is thickening up, all those flavors will start to marry, and this is just gonna be delicious. Look how perfect that is. I'm gonna let this cook down for another 30 seconds to a minute, and I think we're ready to serve. We are literally just perfect right there. That's exactly what I want. See how nice and thick and gorgeous that is. Only when I've got a rumbling boil of water do I want to add my spaghetti. So I'm going to add my spaghetti now. Give it a nice stir. Guys, our pasta is done. We're at the al dente, okay? So that's perfect. I'm going to shut the heat off. Now I'm going to grab my serving dish. In this case, I'm going to use a nice, beautiful blue. I'm going to go ahead and take some Vito and Joe's, put it right in the bottom of my dish. Probably 2 tablespoons tops. And guys, now I'm going to take my pasta and I'm going to throw it right in my serving dish. And don't worry about getting all the water out of it. I want a little bit of that water in there because it's going to thin my bechamel sauce. Guys, with the pasta in there and the olive oil, go ahead and just give it a nice stir. That way nothing sticks. You got that beautiful heat coming off. That's fantastic. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Parmesan cheese and I'm going to go ahead and hit it. The oil will allow everything to stick right to the pasta. And I'll give it a good stir. And I want that cheese to flavor my spaghetti throughout. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a nice mix. First thing I'm going to do, guys, is take a ladle of my pasta water. I'm going to go ahead and put it right inside my spaghetti. Now I'm going to take a couple tablespoons of my bechamel. I'm going to go ahead and put them right in there. And now real gently, go ahead and stir. And I want that pasta water to mix beautifully with my sauce, just to thin it down just a bit. And I think my texture is absolutely perfect right there. That's all I'm going to need. And now to finish this off, I'm going to take my Parmesan cheese. I'm going to hit it. I'm going to take my nutmeg and just hit it with a nice, really light dusting over the top. Guys, my favorite time, taste time. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab a nice pasta dish. And, you know, ideally you want some geometry here. So you're going to take your tongs and you're going to spin it. And then once you get a spin, you're going to take your dish, put it right in there, and just spin it as you release. Same thing, guys. I'm going to hit it with some cheese. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, guys, you know it's my favorite time, my taste time, so I'm going to go ahead and grab a small amount here. Ready? Here we go. Cooking Italian with Joe, taste-o-vision, smell-o-vision. I wish I could do it for you. All right, here we go. Let's taste that. Oh, the aroma, the pasta, it's hot. The butter, the cream, a couple of notes of the nutmeg, the Parmesan cheese. Every part of that is good. First, the aroma is just gorgeous. You get that delicate cream and the butter and the cheese. The aroma of the pasta, a couple of notes of the nutmeg. Oh, the seasoning is just perfect. The pasta's perfect, al dente, just exactly that nice little bite that you want right near the end. The consistency of the sauce, right on the money. Absolutely perfect. I'm thinking, if you're with me, a little glass of Prosecco right now, right? I got Jerry Vale playing in the background. That dish to me right now is Milan in the fall. Just when the weather's starting to turn a little, just when that cool breeze starts to come in, just a little bit, oh, in the fall, boy, sitting outside a little cafe. Guys, thanks so much for joining me in my kitchen today. A couple of really important points here to close out our video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, the notification bell. Give me a thumbs up. Share our videos with other people that love Italian cooking. And thank you for subscribing to my subscribers. Hey, welcome to the Cooking Italian with Joe family and to the channel for sure. Remember to hit the link above or below or hit my website, Cooking Italian with Joe, and our blog. Grab yourself a few bottles of olive oil. Take a trip to Italy right in a bottle. And guys, my last and certainly my most important tip, and one of the reasons I do my videos is, you know, get around the table, spend some time with your family, you know what I mean? Celebrate your heritage, and most important to me, guys, set some traditions with your family. They're gonna last you a lifetime. I know they did for me. Hey guys, from my kitchen to yours, until next week, mwah, buon appetito.